As the saying goes, never mistake knowledge for wisdom. One helps you make a living, other helps you make a life. With this, let us begin our event for the day. I now call upon Afreen K to welcome the audience. Please, Afreen.
Yes, Arpita. Good afternoon to everyone. Myself, Afrin from 7th SEM ECE branch. It is my pleasure to welcome you all for the Day 2 webinar on building an innovation product fit for market. I would like to welcome our guest of honor, Dr. Nitin Kulkarni sir, founder, director of KLE Center for Technology, Innovation and Entrepreneurship, KLE Technological University, Hubli. I welcome you, sir. I warmly and respectfully welcome our beloved principal, Dr. M.M. Mavti, sir. I heartily welcome to Ms. Chambamma Koti ma'am, convener of EIIC, Mr. J.G. Shivangutti sir, Vice President of EIIC, and Dr. Venkatesh Pandge sir, President of EIIC, who has been the backbone of this program. I extend my welcome to all the organizing committee members, faculties, and participants who have attended to add radiance to this webinar. Once again, I welcome you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Afreen. Now, let me call upon Rashmi Joshi to introduce our resource person, Dr. Nitin Kulkarni sir. Please, Rashmi.
Good afternoon, everyone. Myself Rashmi Joshi from 7th SEM EC department. I'd like to briefly introduce our today's resource person, Dr. Nitin Kulkarni sir. Sir is a mechanical engineer, PhD in human resource management, and has experience spanning over 35 years in industry, R&D, innovation, consulting, and teaching. He is the founder director of KLE Center for Technology, Innovation, and Entrepreneurship, CTIE, at KLE Technological University, Hubli. His industry experience spans over 18 years, mainly in aerospace, automotive, consumer electronics, and industrial tooling. His last industry job was at Microsoft Corporation USA as a group engineering manager. Prior to taking up current role at KLE CTIE, he was a faculty at SDM College of Engineering and Technology, Dharwad. Thank you.
Thank you, Rashmi. Now, without taking much time, I hand over this session to Dr. Nitin Kulkarni sir. Over to you, sir. I'll be just sharing your PPT.
Okay, good afternoon, all of you. Let me just quickly adjust my screen here. Okay. Am I audible?
Okay. Yes, sir, you're audible. I hope the screen is visible, sir.
Yeah, it is. Can you put it in a slideshow mode?
Yes, sir. It's in
Oh,
slideshow mode.
wonderful,
Yes.
wonderful. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank
sir.
you all.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay, thanks again, dear students and faculty members. Today is day 2 for me talking to many of you folks on today's chapter, which is, or a topic rather, building an innovation product fit for market. So, very interestingly enough, yesterday we spoke about finances and financial options. And one thing I kept talking about is the ideation and the power of ideation, because ideation is the kindling force to bring in innovation into our life. If the innovation can be productized, the market must appreciate that because it solves their problem. That's the logic behind this type of communication. Next, please. Okay, now one thing at a time, please. Okay, now everybody would know as to what this is, right? This is typically what I put on the screen when I talk to a bunch of students. And my question to them is, what is this? And as you probably can guess, the answer comes that it is spectacles, glasses, or eyeglasses. And I also would ask them, does it solve any problem? And the answer is very quick to come, which is yes, the vision correction is done by these glasses. Depending upon the type of the correction required, the glasses can help them see better. And the third question, the first two are pretty obvious. The third question is, does this spectacle or glasses themselves have any problem? They solve a problem, but do they themselves have any problem? And the follow-up question would be, then how do we solve these problems? when I asked the third question as to what are the problems of these glasses, many students would raise their hands and then talk about the fact that it is heavy, it breaks, scratches, and it's very difficult to see during rainy season, especially if you're riding on a two-wheeler. And then moreover, it always needs to be updated depending upon the change in the vision and the correction required. And fashion, of course, which makes you spend more money and get new type of glasses. So if you see, the glasses are designed to solve the problem over 130 years ago. And interestingly enough, over the last 130 years, nothing much has changed with these glasses, except for the fact that the shape of that and the material of that, and probably little bit of a finer details like spring loaded hinges and that kind of stuff. But otherwise, the glasses have been the same. If you have seen the old Mahatma Gandhi time videos, then you would know Mahatma Gandhi would be wearing a glass too, which had exactly similar kind of appearance. The question now is, why is it been the case? Why nothing has changed over 100 years for these glasses? Because probably that they do a great job of correcting vision, which is the prime requirement. However, as we all agree, that it's extremely difficult during rainy season to ride. You need to keep spending money, styles and fashions change, so it probably makes you keep spending money. Those are some of the problems the glasses have. And can we solve these problems? By the way, that's the question. If 130 years has not seen the eyeglasses change, is there a time that we can look into and see whether there is any innovation? In fact, many of them, when I ask as to what do you do when you ride a two-wheeler and you have to wear glass because you have to see, and many say that, sir, we ride with one hand and then with the second hand we try to wipe off the mist on the glasses. The one of the student raised their hand and says, sir, why don't we have wipers for these glasses? I mean, if you look into this, there are a variety of ways you can look into the same problem. And if that is feasible, if it is innovative enough, then definitely there could be some solution that we can look into. Next, please. Okay, now who are these guys? I have put in the brand names, Ray-Ban, Oakley, Rodenstock. So these are all the companies who are built on solving your problem of not being able to see. Very simply put, you are unable to see. These guys come and say that, look, we provide you with state-of-the-art material, fiber material, scratch-proof material, transition glasses, all those things that they put forward, and then say that it always looks very latest, fashion focused, and spend money. By the way, this also solves your problem. They are global companies who have made money purely based on solving one problem, that is correcting the vision. So these enterprises, as I name them, typically built on solving a key problem innovatively. Okay, let's go and then talk about innovation as we move ahead. Next slide, please. Next. Okay, so did we miss any slide in between, Arpita, by any chance?
No, sir. This is the third
Okay.
slide itself.
Okay, great. So let's start with a few questions. So what is an idea, right? The idea, what the previous image showing, was to bring out a solution that can solve a problem of a vision. And that vision of improving vision came out in the form of two glasses which were supported on the nose in the middle, and then two more supporting on the ear lobes. And that is how it has been designed 130 years ago, as I mentioned, or more. And the question is, okay, if that is the idea, is there any process for ideation? Can we also learn how to solve a problem? Right. So that is how we start connecting into innovation and then market fit products. Next, please. Okay, so now the question comes, how do we know there is an opportunity? Many of you have been using the word opportunity and then a problem. The problem is what we see. I'm hungry is a problem. Now, if I see a food on the table, it's an opportunity for me to take care of the problem. Very simply put, idea is the way with which we solve a problem and create an opportunity, right? So in this process, there is something called innovation. We all know certain things are made certain way, but is there a different way of making those things? Then we call that as an innovative product or innovative idea. So there are few words that I'm using. Let me make it very clear: an idea, problem, process of ideation, opportunity, and innovation, right? These are all essentially required for a student, especially a technology student, because he or she is the only one who can understand the process of ideation, identify a problem, see an opportunity, use innovative technological means to create what we call as a market fit product. Let's go to the next slide and see how it is displayed. Next. Okay, great. So our endeavor for value creation is time immemorial. As I was saying yesterday, India is one of the innovative countries. However, in the last 100 years, our innovation has taken a backseat. So how does this value creation can be perceived? I think it's very important for the engineering students to understand how this is done. There is always some sort of a need. If you see on the left hand side of the screen, there is a need, and the need can be for a personal gain or for the society's benefit, right? So there could be bigger need requirement, or there is a very small personal level requirement. And if you continue that cycle, there is a need and there is something good that will happen to the society if that need is fulfilled, or somebody will gain something on a personal level. That can be done with the help of an ideation. That is why it's important for us to continue to think about ideation, and that ideation will also lead to what we call as opportunity recognition. How do I know this is the problem to solve, and how do I know this idea is the best one? And if it is driven by what we call as innovation, the ideation, if it is driven by innovation, then naturally the second yellow triangle that you see on the right hand side can lead into personal gains, like one can make money by developing a product and selling into the market, create a brand value like Microsoft or Google or Flipkart, and then Amazon like companies. And then eventually that's the value we all perceive as a end user expectation. So now you see the need is been fulfilled on the extreme right hand side in the process of a value creation. And what happens between these two extremes, it can be purely technical, it can be purely passion based, it can be purely based on understanding how ideation works and how innovation can help solve the problem. Next slide. Now, many of us think that innovation has to be only in technology. Like we see OnePlus brand new cell phone is coming on the market. iPhone is releasing its brand new model in the market. A brand new car is coming with all electric driven systems. Now we always think as engineers that innovation can happen only using technology. Of course, innovation can be using a new technology. There is no doubt about that. But that innovation can also happen with a new business model. The reason I'm putting this slide is because I want you to think that technology is a great way to bring in innovation. But beyond technology, the way you run the business, that's what we call a business model, also can be extremely innovative. And the services can be innovative. Just example I have put in there. The Skype is a new way of connecting. Of course, an old example. In fact, the webinar that we are all being a part of is the new service that we thought 2 years ago was never going to happen in India. And today it is possible because of course using a new technology, of course using a new business model. The new service called Microsoft Teams is now being offered, which never was there when I was with Microsoft. So that shows innovation is an ongoing process. It's a continuous process. It never rests, because what is valid today might not be valid tomorrow. So engineers must be keep driving this innovation such that they use the latest technology, they build new business models, and then develop new products or services. And that is precisely is what we need to have you guys understand, because if you can do this, understand and do this in the campus level, definitely you can build and manage successful companies as and when you graduate out and go. Next, please.
So
Yes. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I was talking about the process, right? Very simple. In fact, it is extremely simple. What is it? To begin with, we will understand what pain am I solving, and whose pain am I solving. So that tells me what is that I'm solving and whose problem am I solving. That becomes my customer, right? The orange color, box that you can see. It's not a box; it's a shape that you can see. Defines what is the problem I am solving and whose problem am I solving. The second that leads to a second question: what is their pain? Do I really understand their pain or their need? Is it really the way I understand it, or it is something else? So if they say that I get hungry at 12 o'clock every day in the afternoon, then that is the problem. Who are these people? If I know that, that would be my they're going to be my customers. And now, is it really the pain? Of course, because they're traveling from far off to come and then work here, but they are unable to have food, which nothing is available around. So that makes me understand how do I satisfy my customer, which is the third part of the graphics. I could set up a brand new restaurant there, right? So what am I trying to do? People who are involved as my customers are people who are hungry around noon time every day, and they are having a pain of not being able to eat every day. So that leads to my concern of how do I satisfy through my solution or my offering, which is setting up a restaurant which provides healthy food. So now you understand how a customer, how their pain, and how the solutions are very closely interconnected through what I call an idea. Now, the idea could be having a restaurant, it could be having Zomato like service, it could be having a homemade solution for these people. It could be a variety of things, but the idea is something that we start with because we have seen a problem, we have seen whose problem is it, and we have seen few ideas as to how I'm going to solve this problem. So it is a concept which proposes certain course of action, and it might not necessarily be perfect, but it starts with addressing the problem and hopefully will get the desired result, and that's what we call solving a problem. Next slide, please. Okay, now where these good ideas come from? I'm not going to play this video, but nonetheless, good ideas can come from anywhere, absolutely anywhere. Some people will look around and they always have an open-minded, personality. One of our student actually saw one day while coming to college that if you see the scooties, they have this chrome bar around it for either to rest your feet or to just give a better look. Now this chrome bar on both the sides is held by three bolts, two closer to the seat and one on the backside where is the backlight. Now what happened when this guy was riding to school or college, he saw the scooter in front of him had the third bolt not being in there. That means it used to swing like a pendulum every time there was a road bump or a pothole. So he said, so there is a relative motion. There is a linear relative motion every time the scooter jumps up or down. And why don't we use this mechanism that is automatically happening to generate power? So what he did, he took a PVC pipe and then he wound copper around it. And with a strong magnet, he actually closed both the ends and he connected that to this chrome, figure. And every time the chrome railing used to go up and down, the magnet used to jump along with that and the power gets produced, and that power was sort of held in a small super capacitor which was good enough to light up something or even to charge a cell phone. Now understand, now the good ideas can come from people in front of you, or the way when you're talking with somebody, or suddenly you read something, something can come. It's the question of not where they come from, it's a question of how do we receive these ideas. Are we open to receive these ideas and then sort of make something good out of it? Now let me also warn you, we get hundreds of ideas but not all of them will be worthy of having a second look. But it's important for us, especially as engineers, that we can always go back to these and say, by the way, how am I supposed to do this? Well, I thought of this. Can I take a look at that idea again? So it's important for us to have an open-minded approach towards solving a problem, because good ideas can come from any direction. Next slide. Next slide. Okay, so in simple process of ideation, there are users. They have certain requirements, as you see on the top right, top left, and there is technology which can help you to address those needs. And suddenly, when you club the two together, the bright light goes out in your head and saying that I know how to solve this problem. And suddenly, when you think of that, you start building the product, and that can provide a business opportunity for you. And that is how innovation can be driven. I will give one more example. In our side of Dharwad, where I live, water used to come once in every 6 days, 5 to 6 days. So the question was, I would not know whether the water is being released unless one tap is open, and when the water flows through that, it would to make noise, and then I would know that the water has arrived, and I need to make appropriate storage arrangements, right? So when we started discussing this, one of the student, two of them in fact were third semester students, say that, sir, we have an idea to solve this problem. And what was the problem? The problem was to know whether the water has been released and its presence in the pipeline. Okay, that was the problem statement. So what did they do? They came up with a very simple T joint, which you fix it where the water would be going to into the pipe, and the T joint would have one small PCB and a battery powered device, which will, the moment water comes in, it used to make a beeping noise. Very simple, right? Continuing the circuitry such that it starts beeping, and the moment the beeping comes, I know that water has started arriving into it before it is too late. Now I can go ahead and then make my storage arrangements. Now what they could have done, which is definitely something that, and within 50 bucks they could do this, and then they were also looking into taking that so that it can send a message to your cell phone saying that I sense water in the pipeline, so this is for your information, do something. So now what is the big deal about this? The big deal about this is, earlier process of knowing whether the water has come or not was to keep the tap open, or some neighbor says that water has come, why don't you just fill it up, or we see noise all around on the roadside, now we know that everybody is trying to collect the water. But that's the old way of doing things. The new way of doing things is, I suddenly hear the beep, or I get a message on my cell phone saying that water is in the pipeline, do something about it. Now I am ready to take action. Simple technological advancement lights up this bulb, and it can be productized. They sold about 7 such products, they built at Pupa, and they made over 70 rupees for each device. So very simply put, ideation process is not the strength of only certain set of people. Anybody can ideate, anybody can develop products, and it doesn't have to be Google like product all the time. It can be an incremental innovation to begin with, because it is the process that you understand today, it can be applied to any big problem later, which is precisely what ideation process makes it so cool to learn and then implement. Next slide. So the creativity is in a simple terms, it is breaking out established patterns. So I know certain way of doing things, but I'm not going to do it that way. I'm going to do things differently. I will tell you this. I have seen students, kids who are like first standard, second standard, third, up to third, fourth standard. They never go home on the same road again. The moment school leaves, they're all very excited. The school is over. Finally, they run. But today they are going this way because there are guava fruit somewhere. They want to hit the with stones, get them, eat them, and then head home. Tomorrow it could be somewhere else. Why is that? Because they get bored of doing the same things again and again. But that is when they start looking for curiously what are the other ways of doing things, and that's what typically defines creativity. But look back at our own life, all of you, what we were then like that when you were in first, second, third, fourth standard. But today we are animals of habit. We stop at the same traffic light, we go at the same speed, we reach there in the same time, same road every single day, because we are now understood that comfort zone is important. We don't want to do any more exploration, and that is the biggest disadvantage for creativity. So next slide, please. So if there is a problem, we have a habitual way of solving it. And of course, there is a solution, but it leads to a normal outcome, regular outcome. However, if the same problem can now be looked from a creative problem solving techniques, how can I do it differently? Then the solution can be substantially better than the previous one. You probably have seen a great examples of these things. Today, our cell phone replaces pretty much about 20 to 25 devices that we are used to in our earlier life. And in future, nobody is going to use the timepiece or what we call as alarm clock. Nobody is going to possibly use the wristwatch going forward. Or maybe the cell phone itself might change because the problem of solving with the old ways continues to develop itself into something radically different. And that is precisely what we can do as engineers. And this is precisely the innovative way of developing products, because market is eager to absorb them, because they are also looking for great value proposition. There is a pain that they need to get over with, and this definitely can help the pain go away. Next slide, please. Next slide. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So here is the thing. But however, with all those great things, we need tons of ideas, because as I mentioned, many of them, most of them will get rejected. A great idea can come only once in a while. And to get to a great idea, you cannot hit a bullseye. It's like practicing archery. If you had seen the recent Olympics, they probably would have practiced literally thousands of times before they could hit the bullseye with the 10 points. And that does not happen by accident, it happens by pure practice. So we need to generate hundreds and hundreds of ideas, and eventually you will hit on one great idea which can help you to develop products. So if you see a problem, if you start developing ideas, don't settle with handful of them and then say that okay, this is how we are going to solve the problem, because that will lead to limited innovation. However, if you want radical innovation, we need to see from all different perspectives, and multiple ideas can help you to get there, and that is the beginning of a greater idea coming together. Next slide. Okay, so the creative or an innovative process of solving a problem so that you can develop a market sellable product is you scope it out. That means what is the problem that you are solving, precisely what is the problem that you are solving, and then you start ideating. As I said, idea generation. Why the green is divergent? Because you, to solve a given problem, you generate tons of ideas, more number of ideas. So that's how it becomes divergent. And then you sort through those ideas to pick one or two best ideas and work on developing the concept from that new idea. So now you understand, start with a problem, start generating ideas. That's why it's important for us to work in a team when we start ideating, and to sort which is the most innovative product out of ideas, out of all this, pick one or two and then start building the concept. However, many people think that I have a problem, I have one idea, I don't have to sort, I will go directly to the concept. The chances of the failures are substantially high, because it is not looked from a rational point of view or from all round point of view. That is why it's important for us to look into multiple ideas. Next slide. Okay, go to next, please. Next one. Okay, so we use brainstorming to generate tons of ideas. That means we storm our brains literally to see how the problem can be solved. In fact, all these slides that I am putting here, they are a part of our ideation process or ideation camp. Over 2 days, we will have students understand how do you identify a problem, how to create multitudes of ideas, and then how do you start looking into sorting them and then eventually work on a one great idea. So that is a part of this, and the process remains the same whether I speak in a webinar like this or we hold a 2-day workshop. Nonetheless, entrepreneurs now come into picture. So who are all these entrepreneurs, or who is going to use these idea for gains? People who see a value. There is a problem. Now there are tens of ideas. We pick one idea. Now I am seeing an opportunity because I see more number of people having this kind of problem, and I see as an opportunity, and then I create business around it. During pandemic, the COVID, we all know that many industries or businesses were at a disadvantaged stage because they couldn't do any business, whereas many businesses took advantage of this, saw an opportunity in this whole pandemic and flourished. Especially if you see Amazon, last quarter Amazon's sale was by far the largest ever in the history of the company. What changed suddenly? In fact, it was so much so that it was almost 3 times the previous average. It is because many people were afraid to go out, and actually easy and the most reliable way of ordering a product online was through Amazon. I'm just using that as an example. So naturally they made a business, and the difference can be seen with their stock value as well as their valuation. So entrepreneurs are the people who see great opportunity under any kind of chaos or confusion. When others see a problem, these people see the opportunity. Next slide. So we need to ideate, and using our innovation and then creativity and an environment where we actually can put these innovation to test and sort of validate, we see how an opportunity can be recognized and leveraged. Now, when I put operating within an environment, what I meant is we all ideate, we all are creative people, we all can look into an opportunity, but the environment which is conducive or helpful to do this more often can lead to a better outcome. And that is why, as I mentioned yesterday also, campus incubators are important, because campus actually provides an environment where students can freely operate without the fear of failure. They can ideate, take up a problem, ideate, use a new way of solving this problem, and then develop an opportunity. So it is important for the institutions to sort of recognize this and create an opportunity or a platform for students to come forward and then solve the problem, which definitely can lead into substantial change over a period of time. Next slide. Okay, I have some examples. Arpita, you can go through them very quickly. So who used ideas and then created an opportunity? Some of the examples are Ford Motor Company. Before Henry Ford started his Ford Motor Company, there were horse pulled carriages, and he said that if I had asked anybody what they want, they would have said faster horses. They did not think of a machine which can pull people to wherever they want to go. And he said that I'm glad I didn't listen to the customers. I thought of it on my own, and that's how Ford Motor Company came about. So he saw an idea, he saw it and recognized that as an opportunity for people to sell not horses but cars, and that's how Ford Motor Company became a world-renowned company. Next slide, please. Flipkart, we all know it. What started as online marketplace Today, Walmart acquired them, and literally for money that probably Sachin and Binny Bansal never dreamed in their lifetime they would make so much money. Purely based on a value proposition that across India we would bring in an innovative platform to conduct e-market or e-tailing, and their innovation was cash on delivery when Indians did not have too many business cards, or especially credit and debit cards, and online transaction was not the case. IPO going Paytm, what started as a person who couldn't even speak few words in English, coming from Hindi medium, but started what we call as a Paytm today, and it's beginning to go for an IPO of $16 billion, all purely based on identifying a problem that people are finding it hard to transact online, and that's how Paytm came about. Next one, please. Uh, Ola, we all know that. Ola now into two-wheeler electric vehicles. What started as typically a taxi equivalent service, but they did not own any taxis or any cars. Today, over 4 million cars run across countries, and it's funded by venture capitals. And it's going to be something that people are now going to relate to the fact that why buy a car when you can take one from Ola easily. So the days will not be far away where ownership of a car or a vehicle becomes almost laughable in future because of the different business models that are coming out along with Ola and many other organizations or startups like that. Next slide, please. Okay, now I have picture here, a lawn being watered, and of course the lawn grows. Now, to keep the lawn, which is looking like the one on the right hand side, you need to mow it. That means you need to trim it. And the trimming machine requires to be purchased. It's noisy, it creates air pollution because it runs on petrol, and it can even do harm to the user because it has steel blades. So the question was, this is a problem. I don't want to use a lawn mowing machine, but I like a well kept lawn. What can I do? Next slide, please. The solution suggested by somebody, take a look at it. You'll be surprised what the solution. Hit one more time. Okay, now on Amazon, you can actually rent the goats. What does that mean? The goats will come and then they eat out the lawn top portion of the fresh grass, and then when they leave, the grass is cut to the level which looks much presentable than what it was. In fact, we all think this could be a crazy idea if somebody of us have to say this, but this is actually is happening, and this is precisely what came up in ABC News. So people think crazily, people think without any restriction, unplugged, and that is when brand new ideas come in. Next slide, please. So what is an opportunity? So an idea that is timely, attractive, durable, and is positioned in a product or a service that creates a great value. That means it should be appropriate, it should be attractive to look, and it should be fairly reliable and stay working for a long time. And it should be positioned as a product or a service for which people are willing to pay money. And it's very simple that way. So what solves a customer's problem is an opportunity. Okay, but it has lot of requirements. One is it's very short lived. That means what is an opportunity today might not be an opportunity tomorrow. If I start CD-ROM making machines today, I think I'm a fool because the opportunity to build quality CD-ROMs are over because it's not a age of CDs anymore, right? It's all wireless devices. And you should be attracted to stakeholders. You should be able to make money, and it should be able to help make money for the people who start it, or that's what we call the stakeholders. And it should sustain itself for a reasonable period of time to deliver the results so that people appreciate what value it brings in. So an opportunity has to be something which we can look into from a problem that we see of a customer and then translate that into a solution. And that's precisely what we engineers can do using technology as a platform. Next slide, please. Okay, now we many times we take idea and opportunity as the same, but really they are little different. Ideas are always free and tons of them are available. They stay for a long time, but may not really do anything. May not meet the real need. It's only hyped up, or it's your fantasy kind of thing. And anyone can come up with an idea. Whereas an opportunity requires a little bit more work on the idea, then only it becomes an opportunity. But it provides or should provide value for the customer. It's not just an idea, mere idea, it's a solution. And that's when it becomes an opportunity. And also it requires to be ensured of market fit. That means people can really realize that, okay, there is a solution that is possible, and that's when they can show interest in it. And that's only time it becomes an opportunity. And opportunities, if they are not used, they die, they perish, because either somebody uses it and then makes a business out of it, or the time is gone, just like the way I mentioned about making CD-ROMs. Next slide. So what we need to do to become an innovative product developer for a market that is going to accept it well, is it should be a we should start with a well defined market need. Is there really a problem? If there is a problem, how big of a problem this is? In fact, these are the very 6 basic things that we need to always evaluate. That's the way we can actually build a great startup or an idea. Is the market well defined, and is it economically viable? That means, can people afford it? Okay. I can make see, there are a lot of people in India are physically handicapped, and there are electrical what you call wheelchairs available across the globe. But if you want to import one from US which has all these gizmos in there, can cost more than ₹1 lakh. The question is, if you want to buy it and then or build it here and then sell it at ₹1 lakh, very few people can afford it. So is there an Indian version of it, or a way of it to build economically affordable wheelchair? That is how the idea has to be evaluated. Technology feasibility, of course, do we have access to technology? It could be material, it could be process, it could be assembly, it could be performance testing. Those things, can we do it really here? And what is so great about this? That's a magic sauce. I can do it, you can do it, she can do it, then there is nothing great in it. But they can do it, but mine is much superior because I have something which is very cool in it, which makes people seek it. And that's what I call having a magic sauce. So is your idea has a magic sauce in it, or it is just like anybody's idea that you are trying to propose? And of course, the timing to the market. Is it really the time to go to the market? Is it really something that people are really seeking support of, or a product of this kind, or service of this kind? We had a few students start what we call as the last mile run, uh, what you call the service. That means, let's say, if you are heading to the exams and suddenly you realize that you have forgotten your hall ticket, or you have forgotten your eraser or something like that. Then they say that, sir, you can just use our app, and then we do that running between the two locations, and then get you what you have missed or forgotten or something in the last minute, within a span of about 20 to 30 minutes. Great idea. I'm sure, I thought many people can use it. But guess what? When COVID hit, the first wave, and everything was closed, I wanted one stuff. So I called these guys and then say that, hey, look, I'm looking for this. Is it possible for you to deliver? They say that, sir, no, we cannot go out because we don't want to put ourselves in danger. We are sorry, we are almost closed. So the point that I'm trying to make here is, you should, when you have evaluated an idea, you should really mean it. That means customer come to believe you, and they try to rely on you. So can you stand with this opportunity opening all the time to the customers, or is it just as and when you feel like doing it? Otherwise it's of no meaning to anybody. And of course, there are a lot of risks and threats associated with that. So what you should be focusing on: technological changes or technological trend, changes in the market and their requirements, novelty, that means the newness of this product, how new it is. Has somebody made it already? It's been already out there. Or is it something people don't know that there is a solution? So if that is the case, you all recall, we buy oil from edible oil from shops, And there is always this thing that groundnut oil is always adulterated with some other oil, and then that's why it is so cheap. uh, so now somebody thought, why don't I just make a hand driven or a motor driven oil mill, small form factor for the home. So now these are available at 10, 12, 15,000 rupees, including the floor mills. I mean, you can have a floor mill in your home, and it can do all your floor making requirements. So what it is something which never had in we had in India, which is run on electricity, of course. But now it's an unfilled need, and many in the metros are going for it because it makes them self-sufficient. And of course, if there is any gaps in the current offerings or the current services or products, you can actually leverage that. And now the last question is how quickly we can get to the market. I mean, I know there is a problem, but how can we quickly get to the market so that we can make money out of it? So idea can be an opportunity only if it has clearly defined customer or a market, and it stands the test of business viability. That means, can we make money out of it? And understanding customers persona, what kind of customer are we serving? Do we know them before we start servicing them? And that we should be very clear of. And lastly, do we know the market trends that are ingrained? So even if the new product comes next year, our product still will be most sought by of the customer, because we have already taken care of some of the technological or the market requirements through technology. So now you can see, an idea is something which is in our head. An opportunity can be something that we can realize by appropriately going through these details as we move along. Next slide. Okay, I have an example here which we use again in the ideation camp. Teenage obesity is a big problem everywhere across the globe. Now, if you have to start look for an opportunity in solving this problem, it's a problem. Teenage obesity is a problem. Now, many people say that, sir, I have something that I would like to come up with so that teenage obesity can be addressed. It's a big problem to solve. Why big? Because look at this. A teenage obesity can, if I can quickly break down, it can be because of two reasons. One is lack of exercise. Second one is unhealthy food. Under the lack of exercise, people are not motivated to exercise. They don't know how to work out to bring the weight down, or they find it boring even though they know what to do without a friend or a buddy. Under the unhealthy food, there are many things. Don't know how to eat healthy. I don't know how to eat healthy. What does this healthy food mean? And I have no access to good food. People living in the hostel and other place, they have no choice but to eat what is made in the mess. And sometimes I don't like the healthy food. It tastes nasty. I don't like it at all. Or it could be because I cannot afford good food. Organic food, healthy food can be expensive. And of course, there could be also, I don't know how to cook good food even if I want to. So now look into this. A big problem of teenage obesity has been broken down into smaller segments. Now, if I have to pick up one problem, let's say under lack of exercise, I find it boring without a buddy. So now I make probably a platform wherein I say I would like to go for jogging between 4 to 5 Saturday and Sunday. Anybody who would like to join me in the nearby area, because you can give the map and then show the your location. People who feel similarly can say, well, I too would like to go with you. So now you understand. We broke down the big problem of teenage obesity into a smaller chunk and into a further specific solvable problem. Now, this can be an opportunity for many, not directly solving the teenage obesity. So, understanding the problem is almost half solved. That's why it's important for us to look into precisely what is the scope of the problem. Okay, next slide. So, what did we learn so far? I will end at this. So if there are any questions, I'll be happy to take. One thing that we know is there is nothing called a perfect solution. So you might be wondering, the glasses that you wear have not changed much except for some material and then style, quotient from 100 plus years, because there is a great opportunity for people to change it, because no product is a perfect product. And a solution leads to, sometimes a solution that we develop leads to additional problems, exactly like the same way the glasses had weight issues, scratching issues, cost issues. And can that be an opportunity? Many times it can be an opportunity, but are we looking into that direction? and it requires an, as I said, an open mind, so that we start looking into and start questioning, and we can accept and evaluate solutions and pick the best one. How do we pick the best one? The one which is the most innovative and has that magic recipe, which is the key to solving that problem. Now, if we can identify that problem, then precisely we have understood the process of innovative product development for a great market fit. Okay, and this is practiced across the globe, everywhere, irrespective of which country or what kind of people that is. And I think it is better if we can start implementing such kind of thought process in the schools, so that students now are open to questioning why are we doing it this way. In fact, I will give one example and then I will close. At Microsoft, when you used to meet, a meeting is called. There is no guarantee that whoever is invited for the meeting would attend, unless you clearly say why are we meeting, what is that we are discussing, what is expected to be achieved in the meeting, and who has to come with what preparation. Keep in mind, unless I put those 4 agenda items in there, people can say that you have not given us enough information and we will not attend it. So the question now is, do we really need to be different? Do we really need to be accepting the existing solution? The question is, why do we need to accept it? Is there a different way of doing it? So ask questions, and that is precisely we can keep our mind open, and that leads to innovation and in turn to a great product that can hit the market effectively. Thank you so much. I will stop here, and if you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to take and appreciate your valid presence.
Thank you, sir. That was indeed a very wonderful session. Now I call upon Prajwala to propose vote of thanks.
Okay, ma'am. Good evening, everyone. It's been second session from our resource person. I like to thank Dr. Nitin Kulkarni sir to take out the time from their busy schedule for giving an excellent coverage about innovation, business opportunities, and awareness, etc. And of course, both sessions were very helpful for us, sir. Thank you so much, sir. I would like to thank our most honorable principal, Dr. M.M. Avdi, sir, for providing this opportunity. I express my gratitude to President Dr. Venkatesh Bhandge sir, Vice President J.S. Shivanguti sir, and event organizer Professor Mukta Patil ma'am, Dr. Irana K sir, Dr. Arun Kumar sir, Dr. M.B. Utarkar sir, Professor S.S. Kangal sir, and Professor Chambama Koti ma'am for their presence and contribution to make this webinar a great success. I extend my gratitude to all our teachers for making the event a very graceful. Last but not least, I thank all my friends for taking the time to be here and make this event a very successful. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you.
On behalf of the family of TC, I thank Dr. Nitin Kulkarni sir for sparing his valuable time with us, and I thank all the participants for participating in this event and making it a grand success. Thank you, sir. That was indeed a very nice session of 2 days, and it was very informative. We thank you once again. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. All the best.
Arpita,
Thank you, sir.
Arpita,
Yes, sir.
ask others if they have any doubts or questions, if they want to interact with sir. Another
Okay,
5 minutes. Anybody
Okay,
interested? Otherwise, we'll close the session.
Okay, sir. So if any of the participants have any questions, sir is ready to answer them, please. So if you don't mind, I myself want to ask a question.
Go ahead.
So actually, around 2-3 months back, from our innovation cell, we actually had a competition on a prototype, that is business model ideas and innovations. So I came up with an idea of online second-hand book exchange store. Whereas we see second-hand books very less now, because around 10 to 12 years back, second-hand books were very much in trend. Nowadays everything is available in PDF, so nobody wants to go to books that much. So what was my question is how to get started.
Okay, good question. Arpita, it's very simple. Whose problem is it? Is it the problem of booksellers? Is it the problem of book seekers? Or is it the problem that you see exists because the books are everywhere and nobody wants to read it. The reason is, if we know who is interested in your solution, they are the one who are willing to pay you later when you develop a solution. If you don't think the booksellers are interested, neither the students are interested, and it is the trend of today's technological advancement of having a soft books rather than a hard printed books, then naturally that's an evolutionary process with which you will realize that things are eventually going to die down, like the way floppy disks went out, like the way CD-ROMs went out. Now pretty soon all our pen drives will also go away. So it is a part of this evolutionary process. So to make a long answer short, whether it's for this problem or this opportunity or for anything, understand whose pain is it or whose problem is it, and are they willing to pay. And if that question can be answered, I think half of your problem will be solved, because they are the one who will be helping you to build this product with which you can actually start looking into developing an innovative product. Hope that helps.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much. Any
Welcome.
other questions, please?
Okay, Arpita, I think we'll take the questions in the chat box. Afterwards, we'll mail it to sir. Okay, that will be
Yes, sir.
better. Thanks.
Okay, sir. Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank
Thank
you
you
all the
all.
evening.
All the best. All the best to you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Okay.
sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye, sir.